UK Brand Show with Penny Williams and Mark Challoner.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Mark, and that looks like Penny to me. Hi, Pen.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Have you got your Christmas tree up?
I have actually, yes.
Have you?
Yeah, and
So
that's
you're
just
one of the early birds.
very surprising for me because normally you wouldn't even think about it. But I think it's just because we've had a sort of change of location where we're living at the moment and brought loads of stuff up and thought that, oh, let's just put it all up. And it's depressing enough as it is.
You're not alone though. Lots of people have put their decorations up this weekend, I think.
Yeah, that's
I think
part of the reason why I did it. I saw some friends on Facebook saying, is it right to put your Christmas tree up now? I'm just asking for a friend.
Yeah, I think we all need a bit of a lift, and a few Christmas lights makes us happy and something to look forward to, doesn't it?
I think you're right. Have you got yours up?
Do you know? Well, I've put a little tree up, but I didn't go and get the major tree this weekend. I was a bit busy with other stuff. So next weekend, all the decorations will be going up. Yeah.
Excellent. Well,
and we've got a Christmas theme. Sorry?
It is December next weekend.
It is. And we've got a Christmas theme today, haven't we? We're going to talk about the, quite controversial this year, the supermarket Christmas ads.
Yeah. So before we do that, I want to just mention something which I've been reading quite a lot. We've talked on this show lots about payments and mobile payments and stuff. And I've seen lots of stuff, even the national newspapers have been picking up on it recently, how households have been affected by it.
And is this because of COVID?
It is because of COVID, yeah. So I'm going to just play you a slide. Can you see that?
I can.
So I was just going to play you because I made a couple of notes on this. And I thought I'd share it with everyone because COVID has changed. Of course, we don't get cash out much anymore. Do you pay cash for anything in supermarkets or whatever?
No, I wasn't a big cash user anyway, but even more so now.
Yeah, but it's changed most people, if not everyone's, way of paying for stuff now to some extent.
Well, definitely a friend of mine, her husband's been made redundant because he was a regional manager for moving cash around.
Yeah.
And they've made about 300 people redundant because there's just a drop in use of cash.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Hmm.
So I just made a couple of points on this, and 5 points of which seem to be the papers are picking up on. And the first one, in no particular order, really, is that mobile and the benefits. It's about the benefits of mobile and contactless payments. One, people have found that they are easy to set up. You can upload cards to your Apple Wallet or your Google Pay, and it's a simple exercise to do. Do you pay with your wallet at all?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
I think a lot of people started doing it now. And it just takes a matter of minutes to set it up, and you just need to go through your bank's usual verification method, which is nothing. And you can do it quickly and easily by downloading, a mobile app from whichever bank you're with. So that's the first thing to say. Second thing is, they are really inconvenient. I sort of tend to keep my phone in my pocket rather than, zipped inside, a sports hold-all bag or a briefcase or whatever. So whipping out to pay is a lot faster than using cash for sure. And being able to leave a wallet stuffed with cash and old receipts behind on a trip to the supermarket or whatever, it is a huge difference. This is hugely convenient now. I can just do that so quickly, and I'm not going to lose my wallet or whatever. And I know you could argue you could lose your phone, but it's probably got your security device on it. You need your face recognition, or you need a thumbprint or something. So it should be more, convenient and secure, which I'll come back to in a second, the security bit. So, and the third one is it does make shopping easier. Paying by phone gives you, flexibility when you shop. As often you're not bound by the £45 spending limit that applies when you make contactless payments with a card. I know you've got that thing on your phone where you can't do but on a different sort of payment online, that doesn't necessarily apply. So whether you're doing a weekly food shop or with Sainsbury's or whatever it is, or a new outfit for your Christmas night out or whatever, if we're allowed to do so, you can use that a lot quicker, and it makes shopping just hell lot frictionless, which is what this is all about. Phone payments are safe, and they are as safe as your personal information, and card numbers aren't given to retails or payments, so you don't have that restriction anymore. You don't have that security issue of like, oh, I've just given this guy behind the counter my credit card details and he's got it, and remember, you used to swipe that machine across before even electronic payments. You used to swipe that machine and you sign the thing. You were leaving your credit card details and your signature behind. Well, you're not doing any of that anymore.
No.
So, payments are fraud protected, and if you set a passcode, you should be safe, as I say, if your phone's lost. And finally, and this is one thing which I think the papers have picked up about mobile payments and contactless payments, they're hygienic. So, with COVID-19 still, abound for most of us, and for obvious health reasons, the less contact that anyone's got with unfamiliar services, the better. So it's hygienic to make payments by phone because you're simply holding them, the hovering above the card reader. So nobody's touching anything. And it seems to be that, and it'll be interesting to see once we get to, beyond Christmas, how much people have used mobile contactless payments this Christmas as opposed to last year. Because I think it's going to be a massive, massive spike. Because I think it's one of those things that it's like a monkey see, monkey do thing, isn't it? Once people start to do it, they go, oh, God, yeah. And even my mum's using it or whatever it might be, So it's made it easy. It's made it frictionless. It's made it convenient. And I think people will stick with it now in large, large numbers. So, it's just that little point I thought I'd make, and it was quite interesting just to see that, really. That, people have started using mobile in a big way, and something we've been talking about in the show for years.
But that's what the pandemic's done, hasn't it? It's kick-started a lot of things that were already happening that much faster. Town centres will really have to change going forwards, and non-contact payments will increase, and it makes sense for that to be on the phone. Yeah,
and I think there was something I saw recently. I don't know which research organisation did this now. It could have been something like a ComScore, but they were talking about it was a qualitative thing, and they were talking about shops on the high street becoming showrooms. So you will go away and buy it elsewhere. Maybe you walk out the shop and go on your phone, and you do your last sort of check on your phone as you're walking home. But you're going to the store to check it out. So the stores from the sales from the in-store shopping won't be as high, but it'll be a case of how the stores can relate that to an online purchase too. So they'll need to check that properly. I guess they'll need to find some way of logging you going into a store. It's like checking into a website, isn't it? They know you're a registered user. How do they get that information to know you've been in the store and then relate that to an online purchase later?
Yeah.
It's an interesting time to come.
Yeah, I suppose that's where geotagging works, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Maybe you have to check in.
Maybe you will, in the same way you have to, if you go onto a news website, you've got to log in as every time you go into Facebook, no, people don't realize this. Every time you go to Facebook, you are logging in. It's only because it remembers your login that you go in automatically, but you are officially logging in as a registered user, so they know you're on the site.
Yeah.
So some way of knowing you're in the store is what's going to be required next.
Yeah.
So anyway, just some thoughts. But that applies, and that will apply obviously to the supermarkets as well.
Yeah, which we're now going to talk about. So I didn't do a search, and I should have, because I can't remember. John Lewis was the first retailer to sort of come out with this big production Christmas ad, wasn't it? Probably 10 years ago. I mean, I'd have to check that, but and so every year we've sort of seen a growth in some excitement almost. I mean, Coke was the other one with the lorry and that was a historic film, and that meant it was Christmas, and Christmas is here. So a lot of the others have jumped on the bandwagon, and I've reviewed 14 now that have come out this year, and I think overall it's quite flat this year. I think a few of the supermarkets have hit home with some good messages, and they've connected with the feeling at the moment. So Tesco would be one of those. But then others I think are really quite bland, and obviously there's been a backlash with the Sainsbury's advert. So I don't know. Do you have a favourite, Mark, or?
I don't ever have a favourite, but I do, and I did look in particular at the John Lewis one you mentioned first, in as much as I read something about them which said that their agency said that we very nearly didn't produce an ad this year because of all the COVID thing and everything else. And they thought that people would think if they're splashing out lots and lots of money, which they tend to do on these things, then it wouldn't be appropriate in a marketplace where they've just made 1,500 people redundant. So it was interesting to hear what they had to say about it, and that what they did was they said, we're going to do it with a difference this year. So we're going to focus on kindness rather than gift giving. So the ad's just one element of a much wider charity initiative that the John Lewis Partnership is pushing into next year. So this sort of Give a Little Love campaign, as it's called, is they said that, you know, they were scratching their heads about how they should approach it. And they thought that the best thing was just to make a substantial donation at first. And they went, well, actually, that we could do that, but let's sort of give us still a story behind it and create an impact much more than just us giving a donation can do. So despite the, doing the right ratio of emotion and joy and nostalgia and all the rest of it, they, found they had a big task on hand to lift the mood of what is a somewhat deflated nation, I would guess. So
and they have made people redundant, haven't they, John Lewis?
Yeah, 1,500 jobs this year, and it's closed down 8 John Lewis department stores and 4 Waitrose supermarkets.
I just Googled it, and it was 2007 was the first John Lewis advert.
Was it? Yeah, that was quite a while, isn't it?
13 years ago. So long, and you're right. They've done Give a Little Love, but also they're donating to Home Start and Fair Share. So as you say, they're making taking a different direction, and I think the ad's cute, but it's nowhere near as dynamic as.
They're trying to raise £4 million for those 2 charities, apparently.
Really? Yeah. So that's a nice message. Whereas then Tesco takes a much light-hearted approach to not on the naughty list. No. So relating to things that we've done during lockdown that is a bit naughty or something, and that it doesn't matter this year, it's going to be a good Christmas, you've got to enjoy yourself, which I think hits home really well, and we all need a bit more sort of a light-hearted approach. But then there's been the backlash to the Sainsbury's one, and last night on Channel 4, Waitrose, Tesco, Iceland, Asda, M&S, Aldi, Co-op and Lidl all had their adverts in the same ad break, and they all used the hashtag stand up against racism, because Sainsbury's used this black family talking about gravy, and I am honestly shocked that there's been a backlash. It's horrific.
Incredible, isn't it? I know you sent me a link to that last week, and I was just like, the only way I could think I was gobsmacked about. Because first of all, I thought, oh, they must have said something, or there must have been a phrase mentioned which is like dodgy or something, or not considered appropriate now. Then I watched the ad, and I was scratching my head thinking, what's wrong with the ad? And then I read what it was actually about. It was all about racism, wasn't it? Like 97% of the country is white, therefore why are we having a black family on TV? I mean, that's just horrendous.
I didn't even
find that offensive.
I do too, and I find that I watched it and that didn't even occur to me.
No.
So I think it's incredibly sad of the environment we must live in, and good on them all getting together last night and Channel 4 running the ads, sort of supporting against racism.
Yeah, it's really good, isn't it? Yeah, and so it should be. I mean, someone needs to make a stand on something like that, don't they? It's crazy.
So what do you think about Kevin the Carrot? Are you Kevin the Carrot fan?
Well, Kevin the Carrot fan, I think, was a bit of fun, and still is a bit of fun. However, I happen to take the view, and I've seen the latest one, and I don't understand it, and that's the problem for me. I think with the past, where I can't tell you what the stories were now, but the storyline, but there was something you could relate to some extent. I think it was something around the Christmas dinner and getting together with all this, but like a Toy Story type of thing, all the toys getting together, all the vegetables getting together. There was a story, but this year, it just seemed to be bizarre that doesn't he suddenly meet a penguin or something? And
well, he's on the back of a hedgehog.
Oh, the hedgehog, that's it. But it meets a hedgehog for what reason, I don't know. And then suddenly the two of them fall down a cliff. What are they doing there? I don't know. Into a river, and Santa Claus picks them up. What on earth were they doing there? And it's all a bit convoluted. I think people like to have some sort of link to a story, as fantasy as it is. But this has got nothing at all. It's just bizarre.
But I then think it gets even funnier when you see the Lidl advert, because they take Mickey out of Kevin the carrot and they put a fork in him. Because their advert is all about Christmas you can believe in, and it's about good food and everything else. And then Kevin the carrot is on the table and the fork goes in. Which again, I thought was a little bit of quite nice humour in some way.
It's hilarious. So
yeah.
What's your favourite?
I think Tesco's is up there, but I think my number one, which isn't exactly supermarkets, I hope that's okay, but McDonald's with the inner child. As a mum, I can really relate to that, and it gets me every time, because it's the hashtag, although it doesn't connect, it's reindeer ready.
Yeah.
But the inner child is all about this teenager that doesn't want to engage with his mum, who wants to put the Christmas decorations up. She magically gets him a McDonald's, and suddenly he's a different boy and is happy to play along. I think it's a very cute ad, and not quite supermarket, but I did want to mention it because it's my favourite. I think Tesco's then comes quite high, because the others I think are quite flat. I mean, the Asda advert uses a family and they're putting up direct decorations. A lot of the others, like Iceland, Morrison's, they all focus on the food, actually. So do M&S, and saying, M&S food is special. And the Coke ad's quite cute, which again isn't a supermarket, but that's very traditional for...
But it's all a different tone, isn't it, in the ads generally? There's a point, I guess.
Very. And coming home, the Coke ad is a dad coming home. There's another one. Kevin the carrot is coming home. So there is a lot of that being together. Co-op actually is everyone is giving double. So that really does focus on how we've been through the meal this year in various ways, and that we sort of deserve a bit more this Christmas. So you're right, it's flatter, but also trying to engage with the mood, I suppose. It was
interesting going back to the John Lewis one. I wrote a quote down which came from their agency. I think it was OMD, saying that I can find, they say it's a much bigger initiative this year that we hope will make a genuine difference in the places where we live and where we work. We have never activated a campaign with this breadth and scale before. And the point is that they're saying that they're trying to raise £4 million for the two charities you mentioned. And a further £1 million is being created to bring that charity partnership to life in stores as well. And they're saying that one of the most anticipated features of any John Lewis ad is the song. And this year it's a soul singer called Celeste, and she's singing A Little Love, and she offered to write something and did it in a room over Zoom, and then sent it to John Lewis across as a little sample to what do you think of this, and they were like, we are blown away when we first heard it. So there's been a different mood to the way things are being created. And I was just reading something which, according to the World Advertising Research Corporation, or Council as they're called, and the Advertising Association, UK advertisers are forecast to spend £724 million less than last year, which is a 10.5% fall, which reflects the sort of general trend in 2020's ad spend online.
Yeah.
And so what OMD was saying is that they're trying to make content and budgets work even harder through great media planning and buying and stuff, and you can see how that's shaping up. So at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong. People are still, the supermarkets still trying to make a profit out there, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just nice to see them taking a different tone about things and to put something back like the John Lewis one is.
Yeah, and it is interesting looking across the piece, actually, that sort of only half have used hashtags this year.
Yeah, I wonder what that is.
Don't know. There's only a handful that have used music. Obviously, John Lewis being one of them. Morrison's is the other, using the Dua Lipa Levitating song.
Yes.
And McDonald's is forever young. So they are. It's a real mixed bag, but much flatter, and I suppose more reflective of how we're all feeling at the moment.
I guess so. Be interesting to see. It made me think actually when we had Gert Leonard on the show, and he was talking about a kind of future and all the rest of it, and what kind of world do we want to create for ourselves. Let's hope that it does trigger something.
Yeah, there does seem to be that mood, and I mean, I've recommended his website to so many people since that interview last week that I think he is on the money, and I really hope that a lot of his predictions do come true. I mean, some of the news I read over the weekend, we are looking at a 12% drop in the economy over the next 12 months. And we, just got to hope that they're wrong and that things will come bouncing back as the government are sort of hoping for.
Well, it was interesting to see when before the second lockdown, there was a big increase of a 13% from pre-COVID, wasn't it? A bump. People are resilient and they come back and start spending on the high street again when they can. Let's just hope that when the second one ends, even though we're still going to be under tighter restrictions than before, that it does bounce back again. I think it will do, but people are just going to be given the platform to do so.
Chicken and egg though, isn't it? Because we are probably going to see quite a few redundancies this side of Christmas.
Yeah.
And so whether that will then have an effect on the spend or not, but we need the spend in order for people to keep their jobs.
I mean, the one thing which hopefully will keep it all sort of buoyant is the hunt for the vaccine and the fact that we possibly have one now. It's all a quick case of how quick that gets rolled out though, isn't it, really?
Well, they're gearing up, aren't they, to start giving it in December, mid-December. So
but in what numbers though? I think most people won't get. They're going to do it in stages, aren't they? The care homes and the elderly and blah blah blah. So it's all a case of how quickly they're going to come out. Because I think most of the UK vaccines aren't going to come out until the spring, are they? The quantity I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I hear different reports, so I'm not entirely sure on that.
No, but that's going to be the key, I think. How quickly can we get the vaccines into people's arms?
So you had COVID, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I had it pretty bad, yeah. I was wiped me out for 3 weeks back in the early days, back in late February.
Because friend's daughter, who's a paramedic, had it, and they've been taking plasma from her because she's got all the antibodies. But this time now, they've said her antibodies have dropped off massively. So it appears that the antibodies only sort of stay for
it seems that way, doesn't it? Yeah, it seems that way. So I'll take no chances still. Having had it bad, I'm not going to take a chance.
And what do you think about Australia saying you've got to have the vaccine stamped in your passport before you can fly?
Yeah, which I guess is only the same as saying we're on a visa, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't object to that. I think it gives you confidence as well, doesn't it, as a flyer yourself? That the people around you aren't likely to give it to you on the flight, on such a 24-hour long flight. Oh, going anywhere for that matter, but
Oh, I'm so desperate to go back to America and see my family.
I'm sure. Well, fingers crossed.
Sorted.
Fingers crossed. So we've got another show before Christmas, haven't we?
We have, yes.
And then we've got some great guests lined up for the new year, but we'll save that until another day to talk about.
Exciting.
Yes. We've got some great guests this year as well. Been a really exciting year, apart from the obvious.
Yeah. And I think next year's going to see all sorts of new developments because out of tough times, there's always good new business models, new ways to market, and it's going to be interesting.
It is, yeah. So in the meantime, Pen, if anybody wants to get in touch with us.
Yes, we are on Twitter at the UK Brand Show. We're also on Facebook, and you can listen again on our website, theukbrandshow.co.uk, or email us through the website.
Indeed, you can. And if anyone's got any comments, I'd love to hear what you're doing about mobile payments, and are you using them more, and do you intend to use them more? Drop me an email, mark@theukbrandshow.co.uk. So that's it. So I'll see you very soon, Pen.
Have a good week, Mark. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Bye now.